Jesus. 1 second, I got a text message. No, I don't have any idea. Alright. So, I just did the Empire of Man achievement, and I also got the Laughingstock achievement finally. I usually just never bother to go take Lawland and just forget to get the achievement. But yeah, so we've done this. Just looking at the stats page, I just reloaded the backup before it brings up the things. We can look through the ledger easier. These are some of the general things. I tried to integrate, oh, I can't move my screen. I tried to integrate the Netherlands here, but it didn't quite finish in time, and they had drained all my Diplo power, so I didn't quite get to Diplo 32 as well, but it doesn't really mean anything. Other than personal stuff, we had 800 force limit. I was just going with 2020. I probably should have upgraded at some point, but everybody I was fighting was so weak it didn't matter too much. I had 2 fleets, one that I just kept over here for invading Europeans and protecting this big boy, this big node right here. And then I had one over here that I never upgraded or anything, and it's terrible, and I was just using it to conquer everything. So we'll just get a little overview here. If you saw like my Reddit post about this or whatever, you'll notice I kind of conquered all of North America from the time that I took that photo. Except this, I couldn't be asked to attack France again, it's just too much of a headache. Just all their little allies like nibbling at me. But yeah, so this is the state of the world. I like this AI Moogles, even though he's getting a bit occupied here. It's nice to see it. And this also, I didn't even know this was a country. It starts like, I think right here. One of those two. So that's pretty neat that he got that. And yeah, so we own every island, as you do when you get the Empire of Man achievement. So yeah, just to show you guys that I'm being legit. I love that it's just a leg on an island. It's fantastic. But yeah, we'll just watch through the time lapse. It's basically just a conquering England simulator. That's my cat. It's basically just a conquering England simulator for the first like 50 years, and then it's basically just colonizing, so it'll be a little boring, but that's alright. And just my starting strategy was to release Man instantly, but not play as them. And then I gave them, I think at first I gave them Pale, and then all of this that I'm outlining, and I kept this little bit of England, which is where most of the development is anyway. I kept that little bit, and then I kept those things until I later integrated them and took them back. But before that, I had fed them Ireland, a little bit of Scotland, and then I gave them, I think, just this one. I don't think I ever ended up giving them that. But yeah, we'll just watch the time lapse. Let me see if I can get a Royal Britannia song going. Alba. Yeah, sure, whatever. Alright, so it was instant, so it's just going to start out like that. That's everything that I fed them. Just starting out. that was that. I could go through really fast, but I doubt you guys give a shit to see that. So I'll just go over the general strategy. I mean, this really isn't that difficult of an achievement, I feel like, and it raised the question to me of how overpowered is Great Britain now, if you just properly place England, because, I mean, yes, I fed all this, but it took 50 years to integrate and then play as them, and then they were weaker than England starts, so, yeah, I'm just wondering how powerful England is, and I could have taken a lot of European territory and just been stupidly overpowered, but I was trying to mostly stick to islands, and then I just wanted to get my, you know, trade companies going well, because I'm all about that trade. Oh, it's great. I think Australia should be considered an island. I mean, it's basically just, it's just like 4 of those, so, you know, personal opinion. So, yeah. There was a lot of trade getting caught up in here. This was at like 80 or something, the trade value that was still in the node. Was at like 80, and then I just took this bit from them because it was ridiculous. Yeah, and all that's just going back to here. A lot of trade power, getting a lot of money. Even when I don't have any ships in here, I still get like, I want to say like 400. It drops to like 50% power, somewhere around there. So yeah, it's pretty good. Development, I didn't do too much. I was mainly only developing Mann, so the provinces they held, and you can see the English ones down here didn't get much love except London, which I eventually made. Like, I wanted to keep it as Mann, but then like, yeah, you can't spawn institutions or anything if it's an island, which is kind of stupid. But and then I didn't spawn any anyway. I just built forts kind of on a ton of islands, just, I don't know, gotta defend the islands. Just having a little bit of fun. So yeah, all my little boys are pretty loyal, except the old Americans. Oh, this was almost a perfect campaign, except I wasn't paying attention, and this cunt attacked Portuguese Louisiana, which was like this at the time, when I wasn't paying attention before I could, and so they took I wanted to just feed them properly, so like all that land that they have should be Louisiana's, but it didn't quite work out like that, but it's not the end of the world. And also I accidentally gave my Canada these two because I thought it was occupied by the US one, 13 colonies one, so that was pretty depressing as well. But yeah, I mean, really the only even remote challenge is dealing with these assholes. Luckily I was allied to France for a while and they just kept beating the shit out of Spain, so Spain was never an issue, and Portugal is almost always pathetic. So what I would do is I'd just attack Spain for the main war, and then I'd separate piece Portugal out just for like their random islands out here. I didn't even bother starting to attack them until they like had all these colonized, all the ones that I didn't get. They really only got like that. I don't know why none of them really went for these. They went for Australia a bit, but I got it in the end. And I did do a lot of like starting colony wars, because I had like these islands and Havana in the Caribbean, and Scotland had like this, and Spain had like that. So I just did a bunch of, you know, because I couldn't attack Spain at the time, and Scotland was still allied to France, so I couldn't fight them myself. But obviously the Overlord doesn't join in there, so it's really not that difficult. And yeah, you just kind of work your way around. They didn't really colonize West Africa as well, which helped because they weren't just like already way over here by the time I started. And yeah, they got most of these islands though, but then, you know, I was just doing, because these aren't worth any war score, so you just take their, you know, the European land, sit on it for a second, and they'll give you what you want. So yeah, it was pretty fun run. I basically had this dynasty for the whole game for like 20 years or something when I first became Mann, like, which would be the second time I released them. I got an event that gave me an Irish heir, and it was this dynasty, and then I've kept it from there, despite getting, not even exaggerating, about 11, what are they called? Hunting accidents, or the ones that you can get at church, or what, prestige, or whatever. So So yeah, I was mostly keeping level 5 advisors at the end, but then I had this guy just to fight people, and then this one because I was trying to integrate Netherlands, but it didn't work out, sadly. Enlightened Despotism. My absolutism was like 97 at the highest, but then I got tired of rebels just endlessly spawning like here, and like 14 different kinds in Japan. So I was just like, I'm just going to increase autonomy. It really wasn't worth it, clearly, because my economy's doing pretty well. Could be doing better. I mean, I'm paying 200 in forts, but I think 1400 income is pretty good. I don't often play as England, so I don't know how good that is in comparison to a typical English game, where you just play the colonial game. Could have been better if I got South America, but it's just fighting France is just so annoying. They just don't want to give up. They're pretty weak, but pretty irritating. Obviously have the most development and #1 great power. Strong boy. I was allied to Bohemia just because they kept asking me. So I just eventually was like, okay, fine. And it is the Empire of Mann, which is a really good name. I'm considering taking this to Victoria 2 and then to Hoi 4 and then to Stellaris because I want to do the Imperium of Man, but like actually work for it a little bit. But we'll see. Trade income was 50%. Where do I have gold at? Oh yeah, Africa. And then yeah, the Netherlands, they had got pushed down to just these 2 provinces, so I vassalized them, and I wanted to feed them to Austria because I had all of these as cores, but they eventually lost them by the time I went to war with Austria, because Austria is allied to Ming, and they were when I attacked them, and they were also guaranteed by the Ottomans, which is a war I could have won. It just would have been a headache. Innovativeness, if I'm honest, seems like a worthless mechanic. I'm just going to say right now, like, if you can painstakingly get it to 100 innovation, I mean, that's like a 2 techs behind bonus. It's alright, I guess, but ideas, obviously you want to go exploration at least second, but I would recommend going first and then just expansion. But if you just want to do the strategy of releasing and playing as Man right away, you know, you'll probably be going down a slightly different route. But given what I did, I went that, and then really the rest don't matter too much. Trade ideas is pretty important, obviously, if you're a colonizer, because that's really where your money's going to come from. And I just took this at the end to try to slow down some of the rebellions, because they're just getting a bit annoying. Manx ideas are alright. They're not the best, but I mean, unrest is pretty good. A little bit of discipline, and the core creation cost is alright. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like Britain. Actually, no, Britons are pretty shit too, aren't they? Yeah. I finished all these in like 1590 or something. I did the last. No, this one took a while longer, but all the other ones were pretty quick. So yeah, I do like that you don't have to have your primary culture be this. Like, if you just own the land, maybe your capital has to be like, let's see, I don't know, I guess if you just own it all you can form it. So if you're France and you own all that, maybe you can form it. Might have limitations. These guys just have constant rebels because I just keep feeding them all the time. We had a little bit of disunity. A lot of that's in trade companies. I mean, there's a good bit that isn't though, but I just couldn't be bothered. It was just creating rebellions I didn't want to deal with. I never drilled my armies. I don't find that you need to. Your drill will just go, your professionalism, sorry, will just go up from events over time. Like, I got to 54 and I clicked events that took away like 3 about 100 times. I never touched this. It costs money, which is pretty dumb. I think it should cost like Navy Tradition or something. I mean, I don't value that at all, so I'm comfortable with giving that away, but this is what it started as. That's what I left it as. It was pretty good. And yeah, we got merchants for most of them. I didn't get. I was thinking about taking over India, but then it just seemed like a bit of a task. I did just have. I'm never gonna find them in that list. I did just have these 2 armies over here, ready to take that over, and then thinking about invading Madurai, but then I just didn't. Yeah, I think that's everything. These boys aren't very happy with me right now. That's alright. did my golden age, I just was coring a lot of stuff. That's why I did it. I don't really min-max on absolutism. I couldn't really care less. I'm not doing world conquest, you know. It's really not that difficult, this achievement, I think, and it's pretty fun. I mean, because Denmark was pretty strong, I had to fight them, they had a bunch of allies. Also, I fought Denmark for these two, and then Lunenburg for those three, because they'd taken them. You obviously got to fight France, Portugal, and Spain, because they're going to be colonizing out the ass. I'd say those three Ottomans, just for these, but I just didn't attack the Ottomans until the late game, because I wasn't big enough to anyway, and obviously their troops are just a fucking meme at that point. And basically you just take, if you just go like that over to Constantinople, you don't even have to take Anatolia. They'll be willing to give you all this stuff in a second, especially if they aren't, like this Ottomans grew very quickly. I'm just glad he didn't take over Persia, that would have been a headache. And then yeah, these two are pretty difficult. I mean, this whole area could be difficult. I only had who was this? Tondo, and I think it might have just been Tondo were the only people that were tributaries of Ming, so I only had to fight Ming once, and I just kicked their army's ass, and then walked up to Beijing and occupied it, and then they were willing to give me those two. And then Korea kept, because Korea was pretty strong at one point. They owned like all of this of Japan and like that, and I knew. So they kept breaking free from Ming, so I just waited until they did again and then attacked them, and then took all of the Japanese holdings and one more, and Jeju, of course. But yeah, I was lost for a minute because Portugal had this, but I couldn't see it. I was like scanning around, I didn't see it. So I was wondering if I had messed something up. Because when I read this little thing, I can't see it now that I have it, but the wording of it makes it look like you can't have land connections at certain points, but that's not what it meant at all. I'm just stupid. But yeah, we did pretty good. I enjoyed this campaign. I would recommend this, especially the way I did it. I don't know how fun releasing and playing as the 3 development province of Mann would be, but yeah, this is a pretty good one. I usually don't like the island game, but I enjoyed it a good bit as Mann. So yeah, that's gonna be that. Peace out. Boyos.